All right, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to my beautiful wife. Her name is Tiffany, and ironically enough, she is of Jewish heritage. So this is simply adding more comedy to the situation where I went viral being called an anti-Semite while I'm actually married to one. And to add more educational content, I myself also am a Semite. But then again, who am I speaking to? Like, if the people who were attacking me were actually genuinely educated and informed, they would realize that this whole situation is very ironic and it lacks so much substance from the Zionist side. And as the time went on, things have just been getting clearer and clearer. And I deliberately didn't want to use Tiffany here as a prop to defend myself because I can defend myself by myself. But now that 6 months have passed since then and things have become a lot clearer, it would be a good timing for us to make things even more clear. And also, more importantly, to be a symbol of the possibility of peace and show that we could have peace if we really wanted it. And the individual people like us are capable of living together in peace and love. I love her very much and she loves me very much. And it's possible. All that keeps happening is division, which is orchestrated by powers that be who keep manipulating your emotions. And that's part of why I just stopped speaking out, because it's not a lack of information. All the information's out there. Everything has been said. All the answers are there. All the clarifications are there. Experts have spoken up and they've set the record straight. But at this point, I feel like one of the most powerful things we can do is start embodying the peace, which is what we have been doing before October 7th. Like, we've been together since July 2023. And we actually, yeah.
There's been a lot of drama since then.
Yeah, we've been through a lot. Just like any couple that is married, and you just have a lot of interesting moments, but it has nothing to do with your religion, although our differences in culture does play a role, because my normal is not her normal. So there's a lot of communication that needs to happen and clarifications that can help smoothen out our coexistence together and also our growth together.
We just really want to create a space for people to have more curiosity and open-mindedness and open-heartedness to understanding where Shiva was coming from in his actions, why he made the choice he made to take down those posters, and what that actually meant and symbolized for him, which is definitely not meaning any harm to any innocent people, which he said on his interview, but it was portrayed in a light and censored on the uncensored platform, where you didn't really have the proper space to show people that you actually have a heart, and we're simply speaking more towards politics and not at all against any innocent person who may be suffering. And there's certainly suffering that people are going through in Israel, suffering that people are going through in Palestine to a massive degree. And there's a common ground between you and I and really everyone.
You're not a Zionist, by the way, just to clear that. She does have Jewish heritage, but she doesn't support Israel. Don't get me wrong.
I don't subscribe to any particular religion, but I have Jewish heritage. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. There's been Jewish influence in my family growing up.
Very big Jewish influence. We can get into that later if you'd like.
Yeah, but
her family is an interesting family. to be related to a guy like me. So,
Well, we're
which
also wanting to share this with my family to help make more understanding and clarity around why I'm choosing to be with this person, and understanding that he is in no way a threat or a terrorist or any of these
I am a threat, but I'm not a terrorist.
A threat to what?
I'm a threat to your perception of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
if you're clinging on to your beliefs, I am a very big threat because I can dismantle your beliefs very easily. In many different ways. Towards truth and
truth.
clarity and also harmony.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to try to hurt anybody, but if the truth hurts you, well, that's on you.
I mean, it's really just recognizing, and this is just one example of it. There's so many examples where the mass media is lying to you. The mass media is spinning and portraying a story that they want you to believe for their agenda of power. And like he's saying, there's a huge difference between Judaism and Zionism. And many Jews are speaking out against Zionism and
Jewish
in
voice
support
for peace.
of Palestine.
Uh-huh.
So why don't you just give like a brief little nutshell of what you meant by tearing down the posters?
Cleaning up the streets from political propaganda and not having a public space be used as a canvas to put whoever's opinion onto that street, because it's a public street regardless of what your background is, what your beliefs are. So we should keep public places for the public neutral. And if you want to post things on your personal page, post whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to shared spaces, you need to respect other people who are also living in that same community with you. And also the messaging of that poster was completely false. And it was using emotional triggers to try to paint and portray a certain group of people as bad terrorists and whatnot, by putting up cute, innocent pictures of children and old ladies and old men. So even if it was my own family, that was, if the roles were switched and it was my family being put on those posters because they were actually taken hostage, I would feel offended that my family is being used to perpetuate a certain political message, which is false. So if the roles were switched, I would be the first person to go and tear down those posters of my own family.
But to clarify, are you denying that some of those people may be hostages?
I don't know, because it's a very common thing for Zionists to be serial liars, and they've been like caught on their lies multiple times, and especially recently was saying they put babies in ovens and did all those things, which has all been falsified. But in the moment, in the heat of the moment, they just play on your emotions, and a lot of people bite it. And then this is where the divide happens. In the beginning, they play on your emotions, and a lot of people don't have the discernment to really analyze information. Just like 9/11 happened, and a lot of the gullible, naive Americans believed their government that, oh my God, it was some random goat fucking herders in the middle of the desert that did this. So now we're going to go and destabilize the whole region to protect our freedom. And a lot of people genuinely believed it. So now, many years later, you realize how stupid and wrong that was. But now we're dealing with the same playbook, just in a different location against a different group of people.
And a lot of people might not understand those deeper layers that might relate to 9/11. So that might not register for a lot of people and just seem like insensitive. I think that's what happens, is that people don't understand what's happening in the background of politics. So then they see an action like that and they just see it as insensitive. But
and they start
actually
accusing,
twisted, because who's insensitive is the government, is the people that are creating these false narratives and that are pushing their agenda, like making it look as if the Israeli people, and I don't mean the Israeli people, I mean the Zionist government, is innocent and the Palestinians are evil terrorists that are putting babies in ovens.
You see, and it's also subconscious because they know that you're programmed with the Holocaust narrative. So when they say oven and a baby, oof, emotional masturbation to the sky, you know.
But even when Biden came out and showed that those images were fake.
After he got checked, he didn't do that voluntarily.
Yeah, right. But it's like, meanwhile, there's countless videos of actual Palestinian children being literally, like, their faces blown up, wounded everywhere, like horrific, heart-wrenching things that are happening right now.
Yeah.
But you took down the posters next to the Holocaust Museum.
Oh, so now I'm
You
the bad guy.
terrorist.
'Cause- Yeah,
Next
now
to the
I'm the bad
Holocaust
guy.
Museum. It's actually entirely unrelated.
And there's a new
You're just
Holocaust.
using it. You're just using it as more fuel.
Which I also could have used her as a way to defend myself during that time, but I didn't. Because I can defend myself and I didn't want to involve her and send her unnecessary heat. And that Holocaust card is a very milked card. And I've also mentioned in an Arabic video that I made how now it's time. When is the time going to come for us to start making the exact same type of branding? Because this is all, if you look at it from a marketing perspective, it is literally marketing going on just with guns involved. And if we do the same type of marketing for Palestine, why don't all of these hypocritical Arabian and Muslim countries start making museums for Palestine with the same storylines and the same taglines, and not, instead of directing all that fake support and lip service towards Palestine and sending aid after they got destroyed? They don't need your aid right now. They need either your military or shut up and leave. So if you really want to do something to look good, start making Palestine museums and call it the Nakba Museum or whatever name you want to use. I already made a video about this in front of the Holocaust Museum in LA, but it was in Arabic, so a lot of people didn't realize what I was saying. But it was a long video talking about how pathetic we are as Arabians and Muslims, and that we are the reason that what's happening there is happening because we allowed it to happen. We gave them the space and the confidence to do what they're doing.
The government. I just feel like it's always important to make that distinction because somehow...
I even reached a point where I don't really think the government is the main problem. It's just a tool being used, but it's bigger than the government. And what's even bigger than the government and the ones controlling the government is the people. But people are not aware of that because they're very manipulated. And that's the core of what I'm actually focusing on and why I don't really feel a very strong urge to keep engaging. Because we're fighting shadows. We're not really fighting the actual root cause of what's happening. And I don't want to waste my energy barking into the air. I want to actually make real change, real physical change, and also structural perspective shifts that will take us away from, make us understand, first of all, why all this is happening, and also how we can transcend all this bullshit.
Right, which really comes back down to the individual and the level of consciousness, because the government and all of these big wars are macrocosms that are reflecting the microcosm that's happening within and in our interpersonal relationships, the way that we judge each other, attack each other, not show our hearts and our compassion. And it's kind of ironic because people are attacking you without understanding where you're coming from, which is perpetuating the exact same thing that they say that they're against.
Yeah, just pretty much what I said to that FBI agent that called. I was like, they're accusing me of exactly what they're doing.
And the FBI agent realized that you were not a threat.
Yeah.
Like, because it's
not
just,
a terrorist. Yeah.
And, it's like those posters are in Los Angeles. We're in Los Angeles. That's something happening in an entirely different country. If maybe those are real hostages, like, you don't know, right? They could be real hostages. And
You have a
we have
track record of
sensitivity.
lying.
Hold on, though. Like, we have sensitivity, of course, to anyone being held hostage, any innocent human going through suffering. But those people are not in Los Angeles.
There's nothing any
nothing,
walking person would
walking
do.
down the street seeing that poster in Los Angeles is not going to find that hostage. So all it is doing is implanting a specific narrative into people's minds. And it's like a question of, is that what we want on the streets as our children walk down the streets? Do we want them seeing political propaganda instilling fear that they can do nothing about, that's not showing the whole side of the story, and that is giving no explanation to why? And I'm not saying that I support this, but if anyone from the resistance from Palestine is taking people hostage, that they are doing that as a resistance, as a response to what has been happening to the Palestinian people, which is utter atrocity. So
it makes the Holocaust look very small compared to what's currently happening. And in retrospect, I really am curious to see how the world is going to address this, because like I said in the interview, there's always a specific spotlight on a specific group of people. Because if we also want to point out certain things, like the massacres that happened in Africa, but you never study that in your history. You only study a specific group of people's history. Why? What's the agenda behind that? Who controls your education system and your media? I'm not saying it is something small. I'm not saying it's something that is insignificant, but I'm saying the spotlight raises questions.
Right. You can never say that, you can never demean the gravity of the Holocaust. And I don't think that that's your point.
Yeah, it's not my point. I'm just saying, why is the Holocaust always standing out?
Extremely, it's like there is, in a sense, a form of Holocaust going on right now.
It's a magnified version of it.
What do you mean exactly that it's magnified?
Now it's bigger and has lasted for a longer time, and with a lot more casualties, and we're watching it live. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I can't speak to the numbers and the technicalities of that, but what I can say is that there's been mass suffering. My grandfather being one being who went through mass suffering via the Holocaust. So I could never demean the suffering of the Holocaust. And I don't think that you are either.
No, I'm not. I'm just
pointing out that it's like, you can't just use the Holocaust as a card to make the Israeli government look innocent.
Yeah.
When there's absolute terror happening in Palestine right now.
And they're trying to cover it up by playing with your emotions, which is part of what I was laughing at, because I see through the manipulation and I'm like, not gonna work.
He's not laughing at people suffering.
Absolutely not. Regardless of who you are. But at the same time, I see the game and you're not gonna run it on me. That's all there is to it. And as time has went on, the game has just been getting clearer and clearer. And it will only keep getting clearer all the way until the end. Regardless of your beliefs, when you die, you're gonna get the ultimate check. So we can keep saying what we want to say now, but in the end, we will see.
You say stuff like that, like, people are gonna think all kinds of different stuff. Look, everybody has different beliefs about what happens when you die, but the point is, like, you are accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
And to a higher power, if you believe in that.
But the point of the video is, we're making this video to clarify certain misconceptions. Just briefly, I'm gonna do my own video to go into the detailed points that I was going to mention in the interview, but didn't have the space to do so. And for now, for all the people that were calling me an anti-Semite and all those empty accusations, well, it's very ironic because throughout this entire time, I didn't tell you that I was married to the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, which is a very strong card I could have played in response, but I didn't use it at all for many different reasons. And also, this is a good opportunity for us to let the world know that we are together. And this is a very powerful symbol for the possibility of peace, and that it is possible. If we can make it happen, regardless of our backgrounds, it's obviously a political thing that is keeping us divided, not a personal thing.
Because on a personal level, like, this is a man that loves cats, loves cuddling cats, is like actually a big softie and a really sweetheart, and just is also
I am a sweetheart, but I don't say I'm a softie.
Yeah, you are. In your heart, yeah, you are.
In my heart.
I've seen his soft side.
Okay, in my heart.
He can deny it, but he's definitely has a soft side.
Yeah, I do, in my heart, yeah.
He shows it sometimes. He's gonna try to run away because he likes to keep his, like, tough guy exterior, but whatever.
Okay.
I know the truth.
Okay, I think we're gonna have conversations after this video. Yeah.
He's really a sweet man, and
Yes,
he doesn't
sweet
mean
man, yes. Okay.
He doesn't mean harm against anyone. He's just also a very strong man with very strong resistance to bullshit. And a lot of people are either totally under the spell of governmental mass media propaganda BS, or they know that there's a ton of corruption, yet won't speak out about it or do anything about it. He just had the courage to just walk down the street and be like, you know what? This is perpetuating a false narrative, and there's more to the story. This poster shouldn't be here, and I'm going to take it down. He didn't do anything else than take down a poster. If that person in front of him, that hostage or whoever was suffering was in front of him, he would have done everything he could do to help.
Yeah.
That's the type of person he is. So
unless he was a soldier, just so we make the distinction. If you're an innocent civilian, I really wish you no harm, regardless of what you believe. But a soldier, okay.
I mean, depending on what that soldier believes in and is fighting for, right? That's our point, like getting to know who is this person before I make a judgment against them.
Yeah, I could have a conversation with a soldier, but and I've seen some videos of soldiers admitting and regretting what they've done and actually repenting and seeking forgiveness, which is a very powerful thing to do. And if you're that type of soldier, no, I would actually shake your hand and tell you we could make peace. Potentially. It just depends.
But there's always that potential for peace. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's like, rather than the man who made the video of you that went viral, rather than him saying, like, hey, could you explain to me what your motives are?
Yeah,
like,
but he just said,
you
don't care about babies.
Like, oh my God, like, you're a terrible person, and like, fuck you, and I'm gonna put this video that's gonna cause a bunch of drama about you. Yeah. Like, that's what we mean about you're perpetuating the same consciousness that you're fighting against. You're not asking questions. You're not being curious. You're not being open-hearted. You're not being open-minded. So we're just urging you to consider how much of that open-minded, open-heartedness you're having when you see little snippets of stuff on a video, on the news, this story, that story. But have you spent time with this man? Do you actually know him? Because I know him on a deep level, and I can say that he is a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Alhamdulillah. I appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of beauty in everyone, regardless of how things may appear to be. We just have to take the time to get to know each other. And if you really do wish us harm and you really do support genocide, then I guarantee you there's no room for acceptance or peace for that. Not because I can't forgive you, but it's because you don't want it. So if I keep trying to shake hands with a person that keeps trying to stab me, I'd be stupid to keep extending my hand. So at a certain point, I need to disarm you or simply deal with you by any means necessary. And that doesn't mean I'm trying to be an aggressor, but this is what needs to be done now. And this is also part of why I don't respect Arabian governments and Muslim countries and countries in general, regardless of their dominant religion. This has nothing to do with the religion. This has everything to do with humanity, which
and we're not defined by borders and names and labels and you know, like, who are we as people? We need to remember our humanity. Just take away the names.
Identity politics.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times, especially since I came here and she's witnessed it, every time someone asks me, where are you from? I'd answer, I'm from God. I wouldn't say I'm from Egypt or Qatar or America, because I have a very diverse background and I lived in multiple countries. I was born in Egypt, but I never lived in it until 2019, and I stayed there for 3 years. So I can't really say I'm 100% Egyptian. Also, my family has a lot of background in Turkey and also what is today known as Saudi or the Arabian Peninsula. And above all that, I lived my entire childhood in Qatar and also had a lot of life-changing experiences in the Emirates and also Germany. And then to cover all that up, I have the American passport. So if you were in my position, who would you identify with? And some people would say, oh, that's very difficult. I don't know what. For me, I find that to be extremely liberating because it makes it easier for me to realize who I really am and also who I'm not. And how these associations with certain brands that we like to call countries are a voluntary thing that you are subscribing to. But where you are from, you're from the one that created you. And to that source you will return.
However you see that and believe in that. Like, just hold space for people's different
sometimes
views,
people don't believe in God. So.
People also call it many different things, but a lot of people believe in a source, creator, divine, and just recognizing that you come from that greater energy and that you're not defined to a location. But whenever you say that, you get a lot of different reactions, and some people either think that you're arrogant, like somehow, because I think that sometimes the reason why I'm saying this is sometimes people hear the word God and then they just think that all of their whatever programs that they have about God, because there's a lot of religious programming and resistance that a lot of people have to religions.
Which they're trying to use to perpetuate this war. It's not really religious, it's political. That is using religion.
But anyway, a lot of people get it when you say that, like the hippies get it when you say that you're from God, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like some people interpret it as you saying like, I am from God, as like, I am like the descendant, or like, I don't know.
Whatever. I
don't know. Just because you get a lot of funny reactions when you say that, but you mean it.
Yeah.
You just mean it, like in that sense you recognize you come from something greater, like we all do. We all come from that source, unless you don't believe that for whatever reason, that's your thing. But
we're going a bit off topic.
We're not cutting this one up.
Yeah, because we made another video and
I feel like we just like tried too hard, and now we're just like want to get the main point across that like we love each other, and we just hope
we come from very different backgrounds,
Yeah.
which are related to the conflict that's happening,
Mhm.
and somehow we're in peace. Yeah. So it's possible. Not only are we in peace, we actually love each other very much. So I wonder how we did that, and I wonder if that's possible on a larger scale.
So whenever you're triggered by someone, and he's a very triggering person, I understand that. Just ask more questions.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I
a
might
great
enlighten you.
opportunity to just be like, I wonder what he knows that I'm not aware of. And maybe it can teach you something.
Or maybe I can learn something from you, because
Exactly.
you might correct me, which I've had happen multiple times, which is why I don't mind really standing up for what I stand up for, because I'm telling you what I know. If you have something that can correct me, say it. This is a good. If you didn't know what I believe, if I didn't say it to you, you wouldn't have the space to correct me. So I'm inviting you to correct me if I'm wrong. And also, do you have the courage to correct yourself when presented with new information that challenges your beliefs?
We're all learning and growing.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, it's not a problem between Muslims and Jews, as we have embodied. And also, don't fall for the propaganda. There's many layers to it. Like I said, it's not black and white. I'm gonna make in-depth videos regarding that to explain the nuances and details.
The 11 points that he prepared to put on Pierce Morgan that he totally didn't give him space for, because Pierce was, you were saying like that it's a nuanced topic, and he was like, I don't really care about your subtle nuances. And it's like, isn't that the essence of journalism, to dissect and understand all the nuances? So anyway, he has a lot to say, and he's taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot by looking beyond mainstream media. I pretty much completely tune out mainstream media because
She's a hippie.
It's pure propaganda. Yeah.
We actually met in Egypt. What?
So are you.
Yeah, but we have a different background of hippiness.
Yeah. There's a lot of types of hippies.
Yeah. And we actually met in Egypt, and then we went our separate ways and then came back. I came to America for her, planning on just staying for 2 weeks, and then I decided to stay longer. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
We met at a wellness fair, a little yoga center.
Osana.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
That's where I met this terrorist.
At a yoga center.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have a very long, beautiful story full of roller coaster rides, emotionally and politically, and it's been interesting. But besides all that, peace is possible only if you really want it and if you're willing to put the work for it. And also, you can't be very submissive so that you don't invite the dominance. Yeah, there needs to be a balance. If you're willing to achieve that balance, it's very possible.
Yeah, and willing to heal, willing to look at yourself, willing to grow and expand and be curious.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love you, and to my family, I love you, and we hope that there can be more peace and understanding and love between us all.